Have you heard about the day that America accidentally dropped 4 nuclear bombs on itself? Stay tuned. Have you heard on March 19, 1958, the United States experienced what could have been its most catastrophic accident when a B-47 bomber accidentally dropped a Mark 6 nuclear bomb on a family's backyard in Mars Bluff, South Carolina. Thankfully, the nuclear core wasn't installed, but the conventional explosives in the bomb still detonated, creating a 35-foot-deep crater, destroying the Greggs family home and sending debris flying for miles. The explosion injured 6 people, including the homeowner's wife, son, and niece, who were thankfully just outside the house. This wasn't even America's only nuclear oopsie. Between 1950 and 1968, there were 32 documented broken arrow incidents where nuclear weapons were accidentally dropped, burned, or otherwise mishandled. The Mars Bluff crater still exists today and has become a bizarre tourist attraction. Talk about a home renovation that really went boom! Have you heard? Today we are celebrating National Poultry Day. That's right. It's a day dedicated to celebrating all things chicken, turkey, duck, and more. Americans consume over 8 billion chickens annually. That's about 97 pounds of chicken per person every year. But here's a fun fact. Chickens aren't just delicious. They're the closest living relatives to the T-Rex. DNA studies confirm that chickens share more genetic material with these fearsome dinosaurs than any other living animal. So, the next time that you're enjoying some crispy fried chicken, just remember, you're basically eating a tiny T-Rex. And if that doesn't make family dinner more exciting, I don't know what will. Maybe that's why chickens are so angry. They know their ancestors used to be at the top of the food chain. Have you heard on this day in 1831, the first bank robbery in America was reported when the Citibank of New York was robbed of $245,000 by Edward Smith. That's over $7 million in today's money. But here's the twist. Smith didn't use guns or threats. Instead, he simply forged a duplicate key to the bank vault and then casually strolled away with the cash. Smith was eventually caught and sentenced to 5 years in Sing Sing prison. The judge made him serve his sentence in silence. He wasn't allowed to speak a single word for 5 years. I guess you could say he gave the bank teller the silent treatment before the judge returned the favor. Have you heard that today one of history's most valuable treasures was discovered by accident on March 19, 1999, when a farmer in England was using a metal detector in a field and he stumbled upon the Ringlemere Cup, a 3,500-year-old solid gold ceremonial cup from the Bronze Age. The farmer, Cliff Bradshaw, initially thought he'd found an old car part, but upon digging it up, he realized he'd discovered something extraordinary. Yeah, the British Museum later purchased the artifact for over $340,000. The cup was likely used in elaborate burial rituals for elite members of Bronze Age society. Archaeologists believe it may have held some kind of ancient alcoholic beverage, proving that fancy drinking cups have been impressing people at parties for millennia. And finally, with the official start of spring just around the corner, I'm reminded of the time my neighbor decided to celebrate by planting a garden for the very first time. He called me over to see his progress and proudly pointed at rows of tiny holes in the ground. "See my garden?" he asked. "There's nothing there." He replied, "Well, of course not. I planted seeds." Well, the next day, I caught him standing over the garden with a flashlight at 3 a.m. When I asked what he was doing, he said, "The packet said plant in full sun, so I'm giving them some extra light." I told him that's not how it works, and then he said, "Well, how else are they supposed to grow if they can't see what they're doing?" Speaking of dad-worthy punchlines that'll leave your family groaning all spring long, have you checked out our dad joke button? Just take a listen.
What do you call cattle with a sense of humor? Laughing stock.
And that's all for today's edition of Have You Heard? Please leave a comment if you learned something jaw-dropping. I'm Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. Until next time, stay curious.